So it is 10:02, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'll keep an eye on the waiting room and admit more folks if they come in, but we've got a good number here. So hello and welcome to today's demo of ePay integration in PowerPAC. There's definitely some folks on this call that I don't know, so I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Rebecca Malinowski. I'm the Executive Director of CCS. Usually our trainings are led by one of our amazing member services teams. So I'm dusting off my training skills today, and it's been exciting at my house already today. We lost internet at 9:43. So we're back up and running. But I appreciate your patience in advance. Um, in our session today, we're going to cover a little CCS history and some definitions on e-commerce, just so we're all on the same page with what we're talking about today, and then also what we're not talking about as part of this demo. Um, we'll talk a little bit about the ePay setup process, the enrollment that you'll go through. And we do have, I believe I saw Megan from the State Treasurer's Office is logged in today. So I will do my best to not put her on the spot, but she is here learning a little bit more about CCS and the PowerPAC integration. So she can call me out if I start telling lies. After we get through that sort of initial setup stuff, we'll go through the patron workflow so you can see start to finish what it looks like for a patron when they're paying their fines. And then we'll get a little bit into staff side functions, credits and voids, and just like one or two reports. And then I also want to make sure that I highlight the training resources from the State Treasurer's Office. They have a great page, a whole site with all this documentation, great FAQ, training videos. So today's session is not it for your learning about ePay, and I am a beginner. So a little history. When CCS went live on Polaris in 2018, 2017, the years all kind of blend together. Governing board voted that all of our members would use the same system for online payments to help standardize the patron experience. We signed a group contract with Comprise, which provides the current payment gateway for patron payments through PowerPAC. A gateway is essentially the website or interface that users interact with to make credit card payments. CCS pays for that Comprise contract, and that's wrapped into your membership fees. In addition to that shared Comprise contract, which you're all paying for, but not directly, CCS pays, and then again, you all pay your member fees. Each member of CCS needs a processor that actually handles the credit card transactions. You verify the payment information and settles the payments into the member bank accounts. For most of you, you're using TSYS, TSYS, and members pay the fees associated with those processor accounts. In recent months, CCS has heard from members that the monthly fees on TSYS statements are higher than they used to be, and eating into the amount that they're taking in from credit card payments, and in many cases, just exceeding the amount that you're actually taking in. So you're losing money on offering credit card payments to patrons, which is not obviously a goal. So in January of 2023, we took this back to governing board, and they rescinded the requirement that all members use the same e-commerce system. So that means that now members can choose any option that integrates with PowerPAC, or could decline to offer online payments for their patrons at all. If you just want to say, like, you know what, we don't get that much in, I don't care, I don't want to deal with it, that's an option for you. There are not a ton of options that integrate with PowerPAC. We did send a list out to libadmin a couple of times. I think we attached it, and I'll send it out again after this session to everyone who's here. PayPal is one option, Comprise, Envisionware, and then a couple that I've never heard of before, and then ePay, which is listed as JetPay on the integration information. So today's demo, we're going to cover the basics so members can decide if ePay is a good solution for you, or if you'd like to explore other options. ePay is a low-cost option for Illinois government agencies. The patron workflow, which you'll see, is pretty straightforward, and staff functions appear just as robust as the Comprise staff functions, so I don't think you'd be losing anything in there. A couple of quick definitions. Today, I'll refer to e-commerce or credit card transactions and kind of use all of that interchangeably, unless I otherwise specifically say I'm only going to be talking about transactions that take place through PowerPAC. So patron-initiated online transactions. The patron, whether they're standing in the library or at home on their phone or on their computer, is like clicking the buttons and putting in their credit card information. ePay does offer additional services that you can learn about through the State Treasurer's Office, but we're not going to cover them in today's demo. We're also not talking about anything that's like integrated with your self-checks. I know some of you use accept online payments at your self-checks. There's no requirement that you make any changes to any of those existing agreements, anything outside of PowerPAC. So whatever you're doing in your library, if you've got point of sale, self-check, you can keep doing that. That's entirely up to you. So I'm going to pause here just to see if there's any questions on that intro before I start sharing my screen. We do have a lot of folks on the call, so you can pop your questions in the chat or unmute. Beth is going to be helping monitor the chat. So if things come in, she'll make sure that we're noting them and we get to them at the next question break, or she'll jump in and be like, hey, Rebecca, slow down, if that's what we need. All right, seeing none, I am going to share. Whole thing. Right. So you can now see my screen, and we're here at ccslib.org, and we have our software under how to. We've got by software PowerPAC, or if you go into by department public services, you'll find an ePay category. This links to ePay training videos. Pretty cool. It links to ePay training videos from the State Treasurer's Office. And also it links to the State Treasurer's ePay overview website that includes, again, that FAQ, pricing, all kinds of great information. I just want to pop over to our page. So this is the CCS integration page, Illinois ePay Basics. Just to show you, CCS went through the setup process with Megan over at the Treasurer's Office. And I tried to like make a note of everything that she asked me during the setup process, aside from like, you know, staff names and contacts, et cetera. So I did pull this all together here. So this could hopefully help facilitate your discussions internally when you're thinking about setup. ePay also offers on their website, they've got 2 great documents, an onboarding process sort of flow chart that walks you through the steps, because there's a few different setup pieces you'll have to complete, and a new participant checklist, which super handy. Kind of goes through all the steps. So your first thing to do is going to be to contact the Treasurer's Office to get started with the process. Once your ePay enrollment is complete, then you'll want to reach out to CCS to get set up in PowerPAC. We will need your client key and your web key. And you can open a ticket at help@ccslib.org for that. Ela is also working on setup right now, and Megan very helpfully just sent the client and web key right to us, which we can work with ePay on that as well. Once we have that information, we can enable ePay in training. And we're going to look at ePay setup and training PowerPAC today. That'll give you the opportunity to test and write internal documentation before going live in production, when you may maybe want to work through some internal procedures before you offer it directly to patrons. So I'm going to switch now to our training PowerPAC to see what our patrons will see. And this will also kind of clarify some of the things that you'll set up as you're working. So I'm in the Winnetka integration. It's the CCS account. I just put it on the Winnetka training pack, so it doesn't actually affect Winnetka patrons in any way. This is the old Comprise Pay Online link. Again, we're in training, so it's not, everything's not as neat and tidy as it would be in your own account. So we're going to start our demo here. I'm going to log in as a Winnetka patron. It's a test patron, so you'll see our very clever barcode in just a minute. And I'm going to log in. It's time for an important clarification and a little video editing magic. If you were at our demo, you will remember that I said the patron's home or registered branch doesn't matter, and that the patron can pay at any PowerPAC instance, and those payments will stay with whoever's library is associated with that PowerPAC instance. That is incorrect. The patron can pay at any PowerPAC that has e-commerce integration enabled. However, Polaris and PowerPAC will automatically redirect the patron to the integrated e-commerce or ePay instance that matches that patron's registered branch. So if I am a Winnetka patron and I log in to the Evanston PowerPAC to pay my fees, assuming both Winnetka and Evanston have e-commerce integration turned on, I am going to be redirected once I click Pay Fines Now, which we'll see in a minute. I'm going to be redirected over to the Winnetka ePay. And then when my payment's complete, as you'll see, I'll be redirected right back where I started. For non-CCS patrons, they are registered to the CCS branch. So with whichever PowerPAC instance they log into, when they say Pay Fines Now, they will be redirected to the CCS ePay, where they will make their payment. When their payment is complete, they'll be redirected back to the PowerPAC they were visiting to begin with. Let's continue with this demo. It doesn't matter if the fine was applied by CCS or by a library. This borrow by mail charge was applied by Algonquin. All of the fines appear here in the count, and any of them can be paid, and they're all treated the same way by the payment system. So I'm going to click this big old replacement fine because I want to address that. And what I'm actually going to demo to you here is that I can't pay a partial fine. But here's the workflow. I click the fine I want to pay. I say pay fines. It sums up for me. If I've clicked more than one, it'll give me a total. And then it tells me you're leaving PowerPAC, you're going to go to JetPay. Press continue. And then I have this login screen on my left, but I can skip that login. If you look on the right, you'll see cart information. My fines and fees is my payment category. And then I can skip login and pay. So this wording here, fines and fees, we set that up with ePay. So yours can say fines and fees. It can say library payments. It can say, online catalog payments. Whatever you set up with ePay is what shows up there. It is important to note that they don't align with the fee reasons in Polaris. So if you have, a passport fee and a replacement charge and a borrow by mail charge, You're going to check those 3 boxes. They're all going to come over as fines and fees. So it's just kind of like placeholder text within the ePay system. So I'm going to skip login and pay. I don't want to make an account. I don't know how to do that. You'll see here that my email address pulls from my patron account and is included here. If your account doesn't have an email, you'll notice it is required. This is to send an email receipt. I'm going to click add payment method. And then here it's like, oh, I can edit this. Like, I only want to pay $5. I can't actually edit it. So you can pay the whole fee or you cannot pay the fee. And then if we have time, we'll talk about a staff member workaround that you could do if someone wanted to pay a partial fee. But, it's not a good time for me to pay a full $32 fee. So I'm just going to cancel my transaction. So I can cancel at any time. And it will take me back to the account that I was just at, to the page I was just on. I am going to leave Deborah's account as it is. She's on her own. And I'm going to log in with another very impressive library barcode called Rebecca Test. And I'm going to look at the fees on my account here. And we're going to go through and complete the full system. So now you'll see again, head over to ePay. This time we're going to go through the whole shebang. I'm going to skip the login and pay. You'll see my email address is listed here. I'm going to add the payment method. And I am going to pause my screen share so I can put in the CCS credit card information. So I've got my credit card information in, and then I click next step, review payment. On the next screen here, you'll see it does include a partial card number, which I don't love for this demo, but I'll edit it out before we post it up on the CCS website. I can change or I can delete or edit my payment method here if I realized I mistyped it or want to use a different card. It's got my email address here to get my receipt. And then every time you do have to click, or the patron has to click, I agree to the payment terms of service and authorize this payment. I click make payment. And then it's processing my card, and then it redirects me back to my account. You can see that that dollar fee is now gone from my account. I did just hear the chime of my email, but I'm going to show you a different payment receipt just so I don't have to go digging through my email. This is an example of a payment receipt that you would get. It includes my confirmation number, which could be helpful in the future if I need it. And I have $1 in there. And I can see that I paid fines and fees. Again, if we'll talk a little bit at the end about why you might have more categories set up, but this is what CCS only has fines and fees set up. So I'm going to pause here for questions. And you can unmute and jump in or get us in the chat.
I do have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't be able to choose like a dollar amount that they wanted to pay. It would have to be an item amount.
It has to be an item amount in the integration. Like, so
Okay.
within PowerPAC, it has to be an integration. So if we have time at the end, I'll show you kind of the other option that you have.
Okay.
So,
all right, thanks.
Yeah. Other questions in the chat. Oh,
Yeah.
Mieko privately chatted me that Comprise gives the money to whatever Comprise account you're using, not based on the patron's home library. That is 100% true. The way we have it set up, where you just click pay online, whoever link you click, that's who gets the money. Comprise does have an option to integrate fully into my account like this, but with that integration, it only displays to patrons of that are registered to the library. So I apologize for that confusion. But yes, you're getting the money if whoever clicks your pay online link. Scott is asking if the name of the library patron logged in be listed at the top of the receipt.
The library name,
Yes.
not patron name.
Oh, the library. Well, the name of. Oh, not patron's name, the library's name. Yes, we can pull up another example to double check that because I closed my window, but we'll double check. Brown Lake already has an account set up with ePay for point of sale. Would we still need to go through the enrollment process for PowerPAC integration, or does the existing account covers both? I think the existing account covers both. I would recommend checking in with Megan at the treasurer's office and see if they can just provide you the client key and web key, or if there's an additional sign in that you need to, or sign up that you need to do.
Rebecca.
And Megan, if you, oh, is that you?
Yes, this is Megan.
Right.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, Megan with the ePay team here. I was just going to answer Round Lake's question there. No, you do not have to go through another enrollment. We can use your existing account. Just reach out to me via email and I will get that started for you. I'll just need to get the client and web key provided to you or provided to Rebecca, however you guys want to do it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Megan. And thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Anastasia likes the integration. Me too. Easier than having to re-enter their PIN. And Anne Thomas wants to know what comprises again. So yes, we'll cover that again. And Megan, if you're comfortable, if you could pop your email in the chat. Otherwise, I can send it via email to folks.
Yep, I'll do that.
Perfect.
Rebecca,
Thank you.
there's another question in the chat from Rosa Lloyd. I don't know if you saw that. When members pay online, is a payment automatically removed from the member account in Leap?
Yes, absolutely. And let's just look at that really quick. And I'll come back to question. So I'm in training because that's the that is the setup that I have. Rebecca test. There we go. So I'm in my account and I just clicked over to the transaction summary instead of the regular account summary. And you can see here, I have a payment that was made on February 1st for an overdue item. It was $1 and it was made through PAC. So you can see this right in the patron account. It does automatically update when you're using the PowerPAC integration. So to answer Ann Thomas's question, what is Comprise? So right now, CCS is using like a combo product. We've got Comprise and TSYS. Comprise essentially provides the equivalent of like the ePay interface, like what you see here on the ePay page. And then TSYS or Fiserv, whoever you're using as your processor, they are handling the back-end work of managing the credit cards. And ePay uses a company called NCR to do that TSYS work, but like it's all just kind of handled by ePay, and you don't directly, like all of your fees and all of that come directly from ePay. The processing fees, you don't get like a separate NCR statement. And if I'm wrong, Megan, hop in and say that. Whereas Comprise just does this like patron interface, and then they pass off the transactions to a third-party processor. And so that's why you have the TSYS account and I have the Comprise account. So Comprise would be theoretically going away. I'm working to get a contract extension for us from Comprise. Our contract expires at the end of this month, but obviously libraries aren't ready to like immediately make a change. So Comprise cannot match the pricing from ePay because ePay is, what are the payment agreements?
ePay is free. So we don't have a monthly contract fee or anything like that. Sorry to interrupt, Rebecca. I just thought I'd jump in here. The only costs involved are the credit card processing fees, which you have two options on. You can pass them on to your customers and they pay a 2.25% minimum of $1 fee, or you can absorb them and pay them yourselves as the library, and you are invoiced monthly for that. And those are the only costs involved with ePay, are those credit card processing costs. No monthly, you don't sign a contract with us, you can cancel any time. So yeah, it's pretty simple program there.
Megan, you say that this is Gary. You say that we're invoiced for those, so it isn't taken out of the account that we are having the funds deposited to. We get a separate invoice.
I believe, Gary, you are sent an invoice, but it is, and I don't know if you have the option to change this, it's automatically deducted from your account. So you would see it on your monthly statement, the monthly deduction. Yes.
So it's more of a statement than an invoice. So it's not an invoice that we need to pay. It's a statement that's showing what the charges were that were removed.
Correct.
Okay, that's much better.
Can you tell me the percentage again?
All the percentages are available on the ePay site, but I will let Megan say them again since she knows them.
Oh, the credit card percentages. Yeah, it's so if you settle to the Illinois Funds, which is our partner program, it's 2.25% minimum of $1.
Thank you.
If you settle to an outside bank, which is another option for settlement, you can settle to your current existing bank. If you don't want to open an Illinois Funds account, it ups to 2.3% minimum of $1. So not a huge difference. But we do give you those two settlement options between the Illinois Funds investment account or just your regular bank.
Is there still no monthly fee if you use your regular bank?
Not if you are passing the fee on. If you choose to absorb and use an outside bank, there is a I believe it's $15 monthly fee. If you absorb and settle to the Illinois Funds, then there's no additional monthly fee.
Is there still a $1 minimum if you absorb?
No, Gary. There is an equation for the absorption fee. It's kind of complicated. It's much less than 2.25%. I think it's about 3 to 5 cents per transactions under $100. Don't quote me on that exactly, but the equation is listed on our website that Rebecca provided.
Yes, and those links are on our site, and I'll share them out again in a wrap-up email after this. Yeah, credit card pricing is mysterious to me, so I really appreciate the ePay site listing everything out. It is on the, let's just go look at it. So on our website on CCS under more resources, there's direct links to the ePay info. So on this new participant page, you can see here, you can jump right to multiple pricing options and read through these. So you can see the credit card fees that Megan was talking about, the difference between using ePay settlement bank, which is partnering with Illinois funds or using your own settlement bank. So this is all here for you to look at, which I also really appreciate. It's very transparent, as opposed to having to like request the pricing, and then if the pricing changes, you just find out on your statement. So shout out to ePay. I want to address a question from Benjamin in the chat, and then Megan, it looks like if you can, there's a question from Anastasia about e-checks. So Benjamin asked, is the decision to pass transaction fee onto patrons versus the library paying those something that should be coordinated with all libraries making the same decision for equity of service to patrons? Benjamin, I like where your head's at. Because the board just voted that libraries can choose their own system, I don't think that they will say that all libraries have to do it either A or B, based on kind of historical, and that, you know, libraries have been paying the transaction fees through TSIS. I think it is likely that most libraries will continue to just absorb those fees to offer that as a service to their patrons if they choose to again continue with online payments. I will check in with executive committee when we meet next week, but at this time, I would think that that would just be a library level decision. I would always encourage the library to be as generous as possible to their patrons, which I think CCS libraries are amazing at already. So I would be surprised if there was a big split in how this was handled. Megan, can you speak to e-checks at all?
Yes, yes, I forgot to mention e-checks. You can accept e-checks or ACH payments from your customers. That is a separate pricing than credit debit card transactions. It's more of a flat fee, as you can see there, depending on if you choose to pass or absorb. It's a little bit different, but around, I think, 50 cents per transaction flat fee. If you're passing, and if you're absorbing, it's a little bit less. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but yeah, it's e-checks are a flat fee. If that answers your question.
And then Glenn is asking about PCI compliance, and the ePay website has a great page on PCI compliance. So you do need to complete the basic questionnaire if you're just offering PowerPAC. If you're offering additional ePay services, you may have additional responsibilities. I'd recommend that you read this page and understand your obligations. And offering e-check payments is optional. So CCS's account, we said, sure, we'll accept e-checks, and ELA said, no, we're not going to accept e-checks. Although Future Me is going to look into, I think that e-checks perhaps don't work with the integration. I think that might be a thing, because I haven't figured out how to actually send one. So we're going to look at manual payments, and that would be more where e-checks maybe come into play for libraries, but they are optional.
Rebecca, I'm sorry I missed this in the beginning. I know you said we weren't going to discuss self-check integration. Can we ask a question about Leap integration, or is that for something we should discuss with ePay?
Yeah, so there is no point of sale integration with ePay and Leap, and that is, I would say, like on Polaris. Polaris has said they are not going to do staff side integration with Leap. So, if you want to like take a patron's card and swipe it at the desk. That will not be integrated in Leap. What you can do is use your ePay payment page to like take a payment and then manually go in and update the patron's account. So we do have some libraries that are doing workflows like that now that are already using ePay for like non-library, non-overdue fee or non-replacement fee type charges. So they have a point of sale, you know, they take it and then say like, okay, I'm going to go like apply that to their like passport charge or whatever. The other thing you can do, and what ELA is working towards, is having a tablet set up at your desk that is kind of like locked down, and it's just the ePay page. So they can like say, okay, here's your passport charge of $25 or $38. I'm sorry, I don't know what the passport charges are, and then hand it to the patron to complete and then update it. So that is something ELA is looking at. Right. Want to show a little bit of the staff side of ePay. So ePay requires new customers to have a training with NCR, which is their partner company that handles the processing. So this is an excerpt of what I learned from that training. They will go into more depth on these things than I have the knowledge or ability to share with you. But I just want to show you some basics so you have a sense of, you know, how it compares to our existing options. So I am going to log in. So you can see someone can make a one-time payment here, and if we have time, we'll demo what that looks like. But I'm just going to go ahead and log in with my staff account, my email address. We default here to this basic dashboard that shows you like what you've taken in the time span of today. You can make some changes here if you want to say last 24 hours, last week, last month. If you're only using PowerPAC integration, you're only going to have web payments. This, you know, for me, it's a blue color here. Again, ePay offers other services. So if you do, you know, have different collection modes set up with ePay, you may have a different chart, like a different look here than just a blue donut. So I want to show how to issue a refund, a basic, one or two basic reports, and then just like how PowerPAC transactions will appear. So I'm going to start with how to issue a refund. And I'm going to preface this by saying that your library determines if you issue refunds at all and under what conditions. So refer to your internal policies and procedures to decide if you will even offer refunds. And if so, you know, if you'll do a partial refund or what the time period is. All of those questions are internal questions that your library has already decided, and this is now just applying them to a different interface. So this part is a little confusing. You see this like big refund and void button here in red, and you're like, cool, I'm going to do this. It requires you to have the confirmation number. So if your patron has the receipt that they got via email, you can type in the confirmation number and pull up the transaction here. Assuming they didn't have that email, you can search by their last name, by their credit card, by the last 4 digits of their credit card. And again, your internal procedures would say, like, do you need to take an ID? Like, what documentation do you need in order to issue a refund? So you may choose to require a receipt. That's entirely up to you. So I'm going to just search by my name so we can see all of my transactions. I've been doing a lot of testing. So this is also, I think, just interesting to see. You know, I've already had some transactions that I voided because I've been doing testing. I had a transaction that was declined because I typed in my credit card number incorrectly. So you can see here, there's no authorization code listed. I had a transaction that was credited, and we'll talk about the difference between a credit and a void. which is probably similar to other systems you may have used, but we will talk about that. You'll also see, just to reinforce, that CCS has chosen to absorb the processing fees on behalf of the patron, which I think many of your libraries will probably choose to do. You'll see the amount of the charge, and then the fee is 3 cents. And then the total remitted is $1. So it's not $1.03, it's just the dollar. And this is the transaction I just made today. So this transaction, let's say I make this online and then I come into the library and I was like, oh no, I didn't mean to pay for that. I found the book or whatever. And I like come right in, it's within 24 hours. That would be a void. So a void is kind of like instant. The funds never actually are put into the CCS bank account. So the void is like kind of one and done. Whereas a charge from yesterday or the day before, the funds are already on their way to the CCS bank account or settled into the CCS bank account. So that would be a credit, and it could take 3 days to get back to the patron's card. So on this, like once you've found the transaction, you can hit your little more button. You can view more information about the transaction. You can view more information about their payment or the full transaction detail. I'm just going to click process credit here, and you can see I have the option to do that. So I'm going to say this was just a test and process the void. And then there it goes. I have a confirmation, so I can print this for the patron. I'm going to email this to myself, so I have it for our accountant for documentation. You'll have everything you need in your reports.
Rebecca,
Gary, I
can we
believe,
pause?
yeah. Gary, I believe the void is 24 hours, and Megan can maybe jump in if that is incorrect, or we may need NCR to clarify.
Yes, you're correct, Rebecca. Void is done within 24 hours. So if you're refunding that transaction within 24 hours of it occurring, it is a void, and the money never leaves the customer's bank account. They won't see anything on their statement. If it's after 24 hours and you're going in to process a refund or a credit, it's called, then that money will take 3 to 4 business days to come back to the customer.
Does the interface show that difference? So if you catch it within 24 hours, would the void option be there instead of credit option?
So it says process credit here, but then once you click on process credit, once you're in it, that one still says process credit. What it said a process void. So when I was in here, this button actually says void instead of credit. But like the button you press to get there just says credit. Does that?
Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go back to that search, and I'm going to go to an older one, and I'm going to hit process credit. And then one difference with the void and the credit, again, as Megan said, the void, the money doesn't leave their account. It doesn't go anywhere. So you're just canceling the whole transaction. Whereas with the credit, you have the option to offer a partial refund. So the screen here looks a little bit different for the credit. I got here the same way, but it says credit type, standard credit, and then this is $1. I'm not going to issue myself a partial credit for $1, but let's say this was a $10 fee or a $20 fee. I could put in a smaller amount here and issue a partial credit. Is there a charge for the credit? I don't know the answer to that.
No.
Megan says no. Yay, says Gary. All right. So again, your internal procedures determine if you offer partial refunds when you offer refunds, if you offer refunds. I'm just showing you the basic function within the system. So I'm going to pause again for more questions. I love that Gary's here because he is the wizard. He knows all the things to ask. Gary only uses his power for good. So Rich from Niles, Maine. Bottom line, CCS will move to ePay completely after the extension with Comprise ends. So all libraries must either move to another payment processor like ePay or the others listed. Yes, I mean, you could stay with Comprise if you want. I think I was talking about this before the session actually started. CCS will not have a group purchase with Comprise anymore. If you want to use Comprise, you'll have to have a separate agreement with Comprise. So you'll have a Comprise contract and you'll have a TSYS contract. I have been trying to get pricing from Comprise, and they're kind of like, well, if ePay is free, why do you want pricing from us? And I was like, sometimes they just do. Comprise, sometimes people just want pricing. So I will ask again for that. But yes, if you want to continue to offer payments, you'll need to choose a provider. It can be Comprise, it can be ePay, it can be one of the other integrated options. Liz from Megan's here in the chat. So if you don't use ePay, there is a monthly fee associated with or if you don't use Illinois funds to settle your account, there is a monthly fee with ePay. If you choose to use Illinois funds, that monthly fee is credited back to you, the library. No monthly. I love anything that says no monthly fee. And Megan clarifies in the chat that the fee is only charged if you're settling to an outside bank and absorbing the transaction fees. If you're passing the fees on to patrons, there is no monthly fee regardless of your bank. Danny is asking, how long do we hope to extend the contract with Comprise, and when do we hope to have word on that? I've asked for three months. I said I would be happy with 6 months. If we need to do a full year, we'll do a full year. I will follow up with them again. I follow up with them every 3 days. Our sales rep says that it's with the finance office. So I will nudge them again and say that I need an answer by the end of the week. Thank you, Danny. Like, guys, we just want to give you like a little more money. Take our money. I'm sure it is more complicated than that. All right, we have a few more minutes. So I just want to pop over to reports. So I had my training with Jasmine from NCR, and she covered a lot of reports. I want to just, given our time, we'll see. I'm going to start with the funding deposit report. So it's going to have your library name here. I'm going to funding deposit details, and you can leave group by empty. CCS only has one collection mode and one org unit. The org unit is like CCS. It's not like CCS Public Works and CCS Parking and CCS whatever else the village has. I am going to do last month as my dates. And I'm just going to leave org unit and payment type as all. And then my report spits right out. The first thing I'm going to do is export this to Excel, because I'm going to need to pass it along to Beth and my accountant and everyone else that needs to deal with it. Jasmine recommends using this report to do your monthly reconciliation. So you can see it looks the same in Excel versus on your page here. And the transactions I did today aren't on this report yet. And also the transactions that I made notes about this because I spent some time yesterday. This report only lists transactions that were approved and haven't been voided. So you can see I only have transaction numbers for 5, 4, 5, and 6. And that is because the other transactions show up in my credit report, which is not just credit card transactions, it's actual credits that were issued. So on this basic funding deposit details report, you'll see the name of the patron, the credit card number, the amount that they paid, the fee that you're absorbing, and then you'll see the totals. You can, again, I'm just going to jump over to this credit report. I like that it kept my dates that I had in my previous report. I have to put them in kind of like for each session, but then it keeps it from report to report. So on this credit report, again, it doesn't show up like what happened just 5 minutes ago, but it has things that happened. Well, it doesn't have what happened 5 minutes ago because I have dates in. But what I want to point out here is that in this report and a lot of other reports, you have a confirmation number listed. So, and that's linked. So you can click on the confirmation number to get more details on the transaction. Now load. So this has all of like the secret processing codes in it. I don't think that you need these unless there's some sort of problem, but you can see it. It's got the payment type of fines and fees. Again, if you choose to set up additional payment types with ePay for non-integrated payments, all of your integrated payments from PowerPAC are going to come over as one payment type, but you could choose to use ePay for additional non-integrated payments. That's listed here. In the training with Jasmine at NCR, she notes that sometimes additional data is collected. No additional data is collected with the PowerPAC integration. So, you know, when you click this little plus button, it's just the payment ID that's here. It's not any additional information about like the user or anything of that nature. And then the last report I'll show you really quickly is the non-approved transaction report. And again, how you use these, you know, is based on your business office practices. There's lots of other reports here that we're not covering. I just wanted to show you that, you know, that payment number 3 doesn't show up on either of the other reports because it was declined. It wasn't credited or voided. It wasn't approved. So it's only listed here in the non-approved transaction report. Those are reports. Technically, we have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to pause for questions. The other 2 things that I would show you if anyone wants to stay a little bit later are non-integrated or manual payments. And CCS isn't fully set up for that, but I'll show you kind of like what it would look like so you can better understand that workflow. And we do have libraries, again, that are already doing that with ePay. And then staff users, which is just to say you can set up and manage once your account is set up. you can, under office users, add and remove users here, and you can see they have different permissions. I've got Deborah set up as a customer service representative as opposed to an admin. And then I can choose, like, can she do a credit and a void? Can she add users? Can she do these different things? So you can manage that internally. CCS does not have access to this. These users are just for ePay. They're not, related to Polaris. These are separate. You can activate and deactivate users here. So you're responsible for maintaining these. Gary asks about a donation button. Yes. So I am actually going to log out. So
Rebecca, do
when
you
I'm
also want
logged
to
out,
touch base? Do you want to touch base on Gary's
yes.
comment about whether CCS will manage or they can pay through us?
Yes, I will do that as well. So the donation button and this like non-integrated manual payment are essentially one and the same. So everybody, all ePay customers, agencies have this like payment page. So when we're working with PowerPAC, we start in PowerPAC, we click those buttons, and we come through right to that make a payment section. But you can have one-time payments. So you can have this link, or you can have this on a tablet, or email it to a patron, and then they can say, click make a one-time payment. CCS only has fines and fees set up as a payment type, but if we had more set up, you would have more. This would be a drop down, and so a patron could choose, from home or whatever. Or a staff member could say, I'm going to apply a license plate renewal and choose license plate renewal, put in, whatever that is, and then click add item and check out. And then at this time, like they've got the shopping cart built already here on the right, and they can hand it to the patron or fill out the information internally and complete it. It's the same payment. And Gary and Megan are in there talking about donation buttons and code to post on our website. And yes, they have a donation URL link that you can post on your website to take and make a cute button. So manual payments, again, if you wanted to, this would also be an option if you wanted if someone wanted to pay a partial payment on a fine or a fee. So I'm not logged in, but I could say, like, I want to pay part of that $32 fee. I can say, well, I only have $1 today. I'm going to add the item and check out. I'm going to complete my payment. And then working with the staff member, I can come in here and go to Deborah Test 7. And apply. When I come into Polaris, I can say, okay, I've got my patron's receipt that she paid, $5, and I can apply $5, and I can say credit card manual or voucher or whatever your internal procedures are for that, and hit pay, and then it gives me a receipt. So the patron can pay something in ePay, and then you can come in and put it in Leap for partial payments. But ePay itself won't let you do a partial payment from the Leap integration. I have not forgotten about Gary's question, but I want to pause for any other functionality questions. Alicia, yes, you can delete users. So typical former staff, yes, can be deleted from the ePay office users section. Mieko is asking about in Leap. I don't think that it updates in Leap. When you do a credit, it doesn't know. The integration is only like from PowerPAC into, or like from Polaris into ePay. Like it has to initiate from Polaris and kind of like push out. It doesn't, if I just go in and like credit everything, it doesn't show up on the patron's Leap account that I made a credit. I'll double check that, but I haven't seen it anywhere. Oh, thank you, Megan. I thought I saw a delete button, but I'm full of tall tales. So Megan says they cannot be deleted, only deactivated. Yeah, Miko, I've done a number of credits on this account and they don't come over into Leap. All right, so Gary's big question. He has heard tell that CCS is offering an option to have payments go directly to CCS through ePay, either permanently or as an interim. So yes, because of the way ePay works, and the way the integration works, CCS can, as you saw in the demo, put our ePay account on multiple PowerPAC. So we could, if Algonquin's like, I don't want to deal with this, I don't care if I ever see a dime of that money, CCS can put up our CCS ePay, and the funds can come through us. So we can do this temporarily if we run out of time with Comprise and we're not able to finish enrollment, or we could do this indefinitely or permanently for members that don't want to deal with this. After going through the setup process and kind of looking at the reports and the staff side features, my recommendation would be like, if your library has the bandwidth to continue to keep it in-house, just so you're getting those funds from your patrons, it is so low cost as an option. The cost savings would truly just be staff time, and your libraries are better equipped to kind of handle the workflow. Like if your library wants to offer refunds, but you are having all of your payments come through CCS, that's going to make things a lot more complicated and really delay things for patrons who, want to get those funds and want to see their account cleared, because we would not give staff access to library staff in the CCS account. So my recommendation is, if at all possible, your library wants to offer online payments, that you set up an account with me. But again, we are on kind of a time crunch and there's kind of a lot going on. So I'm happy to work with libraries on an interim solution or a permanent solution if they feel like that's really the best option for them.
And it would be kind of a continuity of service, because Algonquin is planning on moving, but if there's a cutoff, rather than have payment option disappear and then reappear after a period, we would be able to work with you to have the payments go to you, and then when we're ready, we can just flip the switch.
Yes, yeah, and that to me, I'm like absolutely 100% like, let's make it easy for you and make it easy for patrons and remove some element of like stress. So absolutely, yes. Again, I want to reiterate that the ePay site has a lot of, my screen share is really getting me today. The ePay site has a lot of great resources. Again, PCI compliance, pricing, new participant information, overview of other services you might be interested in. So please take a look at this. It is much more in-depth than the CCS documentation, which is essentially just screenshots of the patron workflow. So please review this. Again, I want to thank Megan for being here today and for letting me put her on the spot 100 times. I really appreciate your knowledge and expertise, and I'm so glad we had you. I'm happy to take any additional questions. Again, we'll share this recording out. And I want to thank everyone for coming today.
Thank you for having me, Rebecca. If anybody has any ePay specific questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is in the chat. So thank you everyone again for the invitation today. It was very well done, Rebecca.
We'll go ahead and end our recording.